I usually start off by thanking you guys for coming. Obviously, we put on these events for you. Hopefully you'll find it useful. Hopefully you'll get to speak to lots of people that will give you lots of useful information that will help you on the journeys that you're on. But secondly, I'd like to sort of take a moment as the person that organises the event to thank the people that come and talk to you guys and hopefully help you to realise the hopes and wishes that you have about starting a family. There are easier jobs that people could do, I imagine, but these guys are all really, really passionate about what they do. They're here to help you and to guide you, and we're going to begin that today with the talk that we're going to do, which is about choosing a destination for your surrogacy journey, because there's lots of different places you can go, there's lots of different options around the world, and each of those options have got their benefits, and it really depends on your personal journey and your wishes and your desires and how you want that journey to work on where you choose. So I've got some great people here that are going to be able to help us out a little bit by giving you some tips. Obviously there's 4 people here and we're going to speak for about sort of 25 minutes, half an hour, so we will barely scratch the surface, but these guys are all here for you in the hall to sit down and talk at length and to discuss whatever questions that you have. So thanks for coming. Thanks for joining me on the panel. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves rather than me doing it because who knows them better than them. So if you wouldn't mind, just introduce yourself and who you work for, that would be amazing. And perhaps just say which countries you sort of are specialist in terms of the surrogacy journey. That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. My name is Mikkel. I'm the Northern European Territory Manager of Toulouse. Toulouse is an agency that works in several destinations. We work in the USA, we work in Colombia, Argentina, Mexico, Georgia, and Armenia. And I think that's enough for the introduction.
Good morning, everyone. Guten Morgen. My name is Manus Hossainzadeh. I'm the Medical Director and the founder of the Fertility Institute of San Diego. I've been in practice for over 25 years, and I'm passionate about third-party egg donor, sperm donor, surrogacy, and of course I specialize in the US, California.
Hi guys, my name is Viktoriia. I represent success company Cyprus. We can do different kind of surrogacy projects for different kind of clients, and I'm happy here to answer some questions and make some delightful stories like during our talk today.
Hello, Amani Hansen. I'm an attorney in the United States, basically assisting parents, individuals who would like to undergo third party in the US. So I'm a partner at Vorsimer Masserman Fertility and Family Law Center. We work with parents or individuals from all over the world, working with surrogates all over the US. So I am here to answer any questions that you have. Feel free to, if you see me anywhere, stop me. I'm here as a great resource for you. So.
Okay, thank you guys. Obviously, Amani's slightly different because she's obviously an attorney. She's going to be able to give us a bit more insight on the law side of things, so perhaps some of the questions won't necessarily be answered in the same way from Amani, but she'll be able to jump in and sort of maybe give us a little bit of extra information in certain areas, which is really, really handy, so thank you. So the first question I'm going to ask all of you is, if these guys are at the start of their journey, what is the one tip, and I know there's a million, but what is the first thing you'd say to them? Here's one tip that's really essential for you to consider at the start of your journey when you're choosing where you're going to go, what you're going to do, who you're going to work with, that sort of thing. That would be great.
So by the way, I'm a father of 3 through surrogacy as well, and I very well remember starting out and how nervous I was, and I didn't know anything, and information was difficult to find. So my first tip for you is contact agencies, contact people, seek out information, because people who know about this are often very, very willing to share. People who have kids through surrogacy are willing to share. I know there's an organization here in Germany as well, VFLLD, Verein für Leihmutterschaft or something along those lines, and they're very willing to share information. don't overthink it. It comes from a natural wish of becoming a family. Many people can relate. So don't overthink it. Start seeking information, and slowly you will know what questions that you need to have answered the most. Of course, contact people, agencies, lawyers, whatever. Start contacting.
I totally agree with what Michael just said. And one of the beautiful things about this meeting is that all of the contacts that you could possibly need or want are here in one place. So it's a great, great resource. For me, the most important thing is to get all of the legal aspects of every single country so that you know exactly whose name will be on the birth certificate. So you don't have a fight when you take your child home. And hopefully you don't have to adopt your own child. The wonderful thing about US, especially California, is that everyone has a right to be a parent, whether you're a single man, a single woman, a heterosexual couple, or a same-sex couple. And it's your name, again, whether you're a single man, a single woman, same-sex couple, heterosexual couple, it's your name that will go on the birth certificate. And even if you have no biological relationship to your child, so that means that it's a child born through egg donor, sperm donor, and surrogacy, it's still your name that will go on the birth certificate, which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
Thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, like I just take a while, in some countries, as Italy, for example, it's almost impossible to put both parents' name, otherwise you will have huge troubles in countries. So I totally agree that you should know legislation of your country, and you should understand what is better, easier, and faster way to come back as well. In the United States, you can have citizenship, yes, back forward, but not all our clients want to apply for another citizenship. German is a pretty good one, right, like to have. For example, we can provide a lot of huge range of programs with affordable price, so you need to think about your budget as well, to make a responsible decision about your way and find solution. For example, we can do program not only in Cyprus, but in Georgia as well, or in Greece. It depends from your life situation. We can search for your individual approach, with which country is best for you, like to start your journey, and which country is the best to finish your journey as well, because we have opportunity to choose country of childbirth if it's allowed by your legislation and so on. Thank you.
So thank you for all the input. I think it was wonderful. I think the biggest tip that I have, is really kind of narrowing down what your options or what you're considering, and from there assessing the pros and cons of each one, and kind of just figuring out what are the benefits and the positives and the negatives of each, and really trying to understand that. So, and I think the best way to do that is to reach out to the contacts or resources you might have there. For example, I'm a big, not just because I'm a lawyer, but I'm a big advocate for really using the lawyers as a resource, because we see so much. We work with all these incredible professionals, the doctors, the agencies, everyone that is putting this together for you. I feel like that your lawyer is kind of like your anchor. So they're the one person that's advocating for you and your best interest the entire time. And really the only professional that's completely one-sided. Whereas your doctor, the patient, ultimately the surrogate and the parents are both the doctor's patient. The agency's job, a lot of times, is to be neutral. We want them to be neutral, to be the one that kind of navigates and manages the process for you. And your lawyer is the only one advocating only for your best interest. And we work with all these incredible professionals. And so we have a big, we know what clients, other previous clients. So I worked with thousands of parents or families to build those families. And so we have like different cases, different experiences, different things. We have a lot of resources, so we can really help provide input on the risks and the pros and cons, and kind of help discuss that with you. And then ultimately, I think what was discussed here as well is going by instinct is also, I think, a big thing as well, and what you're comfortable with. The other thing is, as lawyers, our job is to mitigate risks. That's my job. I cannot make sure everything goes perfectly. My job is to mitigate the risks. So I think if you have a good understanding of what the pros and cons are, then you can decide what you're comfortable with, what things are you willing, is it important for your name to be on the birth certificate, or is the budget more important? Or like initially, and obviously things will change, but to get you as a parent, but what's the most important part of the process for you? And going that direction, I think, is really important from there, and then communicating.
Perfect, thank you so much. And like these are really great tips in terms of being at the start of your journey. If you don't mind me asking you guys, how many of you have been to one of our events before? Yeah? So not very many. Thank you for coming back. I think like often because we go to so many events and we're living in this world, we often don't realise, we often have people come to our events and don't even know that they need a lawyer. And that's totally cool, why would you? Until you're in the world, until you're going through that process. So speaking to these guys and understanding those real first steps and what I need to do now is really, really important for you. And you can do that here. You can walk away from our event with so much more information and I'm ready to go. In that sort of spirit, if you wouldn't mind telling us, in the countries that you are expert in, that you've worked with and stuff, which people can go through the surrogacy journey in terms of heterosexual, gay, single, all of these sort of combinations. Who are these programs for in the different countries, if you don't mind, just as a bit of sort of basic information for us?
Okay, I'll just, if I may, tie a knot to the legal aspects, because all of us sitting here know a lot of the legal aspects of where we are working, but it's so important for you to familiarize yourself with German legal aspects as well. One thing is the paperwork that you're getting at the destination, another thing is what you need when you come back home. That's very important for you to know. So since Tamus is working in the US, we can pretty much help everyone, as I'm sure will be supported. Straight, gay, couples, singles, transgender people. We are able to help anyone, but we are not able to help anyone at every destination that we are working with, which is also why I think that reach out and talk is so important, so you can really familiarize yourself with what destination works the best for you. I think you mentioned as well that it's a personal thing. It's a personal journey, and you need to know what would be a good choice for you.
I just want to say that I don't want you to feel overwhelmed by the journey. You don't have to actually go and look for an attorney. You don't have to, see who's an expert. That's our job. So our job as clinicians is to basically navigate your entire journey from beginning to end. So, and one of the first things that we do is we like to introduce you to attorneys in your own country. If you don't have an attorney, that's okay. You don't have to have one. We work with experts in reproductive law. And one of the first things that we do is have you speak with them, and then we introduce you to attorneys so in my case, in the US, in California. And as I mentioned before, the beauty of California is that the surrogacy laws are so incredibly open in that anyone and everyone has a right to be a parent. There is no discrimination based on sex, gender, sexual orientation, none of that. And it's your name that goes on the birth certificate. Because our job isn't just to give you a baby. That's the easy part. Our job is to make sure that you go home with your baby and all of the legal things are taken care of. So we're there throughout the entire journey, and your egg donor is just as much, as she said so correctly, our patient as you are. Your surrogate is just as much our patient as you are, because our concern is also their well-being, and it's to make sure that all three parties, if it's three parties, they navigate this journey as easily as possible.
Thank you. And about opportunity to start program in Cyprus, there is no restriction, so everybody can start. If we talk about program in Georgia, there is only hetero couples which live like together more than 1 year or married more than 1 year. If we talk about Greece, it's single ladies, it's hetero couples, married or unmarried, no matter. So, and about come back home, and legislation. For Germany, as we know, it's equal. Both parents are writing as mother and father in childbirth certificate, or just biological father, for example, or even Germany not asking DNA test, actually, according to rules. So full donation also possible to make. Just say no, if nothing changed, like meanwhile, that anyway, second parent should go through this legalization of parenthood, right? Yes, it takes time, but anyway, you will come back. If before it was a little bit difficult and it was like difficulties with German embassy to come back home, now we have, after 3 weeks approximately, they come back home from Georgia, if they both sign, or from another country where we can allow it and we can organize childbirth also for German embassy. They're not very friendly, to be honest, in this case, but they're pretty fast, even compared with UK, so about 2-3 weeks to come back.
Amali, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you something very slightly different. Sure. That's okay. Because us Europeans, what we often don't quite think about when we think of the United States, when we think of it as a country, but indeed, it's really, really different state to state.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'd be really interested to know how things change sort of state to state in the United States. That would be really interesting. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Actually, was going to touch on that. Perfect. So, so as many of you may know, maybe not, but so the United States has the surrogacy process in the United States overall, like most states, not all states, but it's a very highly regulated process. And there's not a federal law in the US that regulates the surrogacy journey or process. Okay, so federal law means one law that every state has to abide by. Instead, it is state specific. And so in talking about California, California has probably the first state that has a surrogacy statute, which is a written law, and is the most surrogacy friendly. There are other states as well that are surrogacy friendly, and that's very important to know. But each state's regulations can differ. So it's so important, and that's why it's also, again, so important, like everyone's been talking, is having the attorneys involved from the very beginning will help. At the end of the day, and I was going to mention, this is a very collaborative process and effort. We work together, hopefully very, very well, to make this as smooth as we can of a journey for you. And that's why also to kind of exclamation mark the point of please don't be overwhelmed. It's our job to guide you and work collaboratively to that. So as it relates to the states, generally the state law that's going to be relevant, and this is a generalized statement, but for the most part, is the state where your surrogate ultimately lives and where your baby will be born. Okay, so it's so important. There are so many options in the US, and when you are matching or potentially working with an agency, many agencies in the US kind of can have surrogates all over potentially, and so it's important to kind of decide when you're matching basically what states, because even the budget can differ from state to state, the costs can differ as well. So you also have within the United States a lot of options when it comes to even budget and all that, whereas in your clinic can be anywhere. So for example, your clinic can be in California, but your surrogate might be in Florida, and it's important to then communicate with the attorney that you have selected in the US, or at least talking to find out what the rules or laws are in Florida. So for example, some states, so California allows anybody, as discussed already, can come to California and undergo a third-party journey or surrogacy journey. Florida, and also options, because in California your parentage is established prior to birth. Okay, so we get a pre-birth order that establishes you as a legal parent of the child. It is highly regulated, and again, your parentage is protected. There's not a risk, there's not a threat to your parentage in any way, shape, or form, really. So then you have some states, for example, Florida, that is also regulated, and there's a statute or law, but it's done, the process to establish your parentage is actually done post-birth. So in that state, just the procedural aspect is different, and it's important to distinguish that, okay? And that also ties into when you bring your baby home to Germany. And that's really important to touch on that. Is also what's wonderful about California that I'm going to point out is we have so much flexibility with what your documents need to say to comply with German law, like whatever Germany requires, which now has, in the past few years, has gotten much easier or smoother for parents to bring their child home. It's based on whatever the law is where the surrogacy happens, the court order you have. We're basically able in California to get a pre-birth order. Sometimes you need a post-birth order. A post-birth order will basically, the distinction is it lists the baby's full legal name and actual date of birth because it's after the birth. So we know that information. We can get a pre-birth, we can get a post-birth, whatever you need. You want your one parent name, both parent names. We can create all kinds of flexibility as it relates to whatever legal paperwork you need. Other states don't have that necessarily, that flexibility. You just kind of have to abide by that. There are different regulations. Most states are favorable to a certain extent. It's just important to kind of figure out your circumstances and what you need and make sure it matches up. But case by case, I don't know if you wanted me to mention more specific states. I think, a lot of the Western states are very friendly, just I don't know, politically just works out that way. So, California, Nevada, Washington State, Oregon, Arizona is one I should point out. So Arizona is becoming more and more popular, but one thing to really know, so surrogacy is happening in Arizona, but there is not a law that regulates surrogacy in Arizona. It's actually not, a surrogacy agreement is not enforceable in the state of Arizona. It's still happening, but it's technically not, you don't have that same protection of the law as you do in other states, and it's important to distinguish those. And I can answer more detailed questions.
Thank you so much. Thank
it's
you.
a lot. So.
No one's going to expect you guys to walk out of this room today being an expert. Do you know what I mean? And I know that it's a lot, and my head spins a little bit hearing it. And I think that all we're really trying to get across to you is there's lots of different options. Do you know what I mean? Even within the United States, it's really different, and understanding those is going to be part of the journey that you guys are now going on. Moving topic slightly, one of the questions that we're often asked and we hear people talking, and the people that are curious about, is the relationship that the intended parents may have to the surrogate. It'd be really interesting to understand sort of maybe how that differs in different countries or different states, or a little bit of information on that would be amazing about the relationship that the intended parent may have to the surrogate that's going to carry the child.
That is, again, depending on from destination to destination and the local laws at the destination. But and it ranges from you being in direct contact with the surrogate at all times, that you feel like it and she feels like it and that you agree upon. And it ranges to destinations where all communication goes through your agents. So it really has a lot to do with the local laws. Again, I keep coming back to this initial talk that you will have to people to really understand your options and what is important for you. Personally, I went through journeys, 2 journeys in the US. 2 different women have carried my 3 daughters. And it has been a lot of contact, both before pregnancy and during and after. And that was good for me, and that was good for my kids. And you can, by the way, you can ask my daughters. They will be in a panel in this room, I think, later today. So ask them about how that is and what that feels like. It is very different, and some people need this strong connection, and some people feel that they don't. Usually, again, from my own personal experience, I was a little bit scared because I did not feel like I wanted a new family member. And then when we met up with her the first time, it was just so easy, and it just became so natural. So my personal recommendation is always have as much contact as you possibly can, because it's good for you. It makes you feel comfortable. But for some people, not having it is important, and then you should not choose a destination where it is expected that you have a lot of personal communication. So again, individual choices.
I totally agree. You're basically in charge of how much or how little contact you'd like to have with your surrogate. I think at the beginning of the process, it's essential to be comfortable with your surrogate, because this person will be carrying your child for 9 months, and it's a little bit like dating. I tell my patients, you're dating to find the right surrogate for you. It is. but it's part of the process, as you know, and it's well worth it because at the end you end up with your child. So I think, and also during the pregnancy, you want to be in touch with her so you know how things are going. She can send you pictures. And then after birth, it's entirely your choice and the surrogate. And again, it's a personal choice and it's different for different people. You decide again how much or how little, and personally, I think it's probably easier for your children later on if you do have a relationship with them, to introduce them to the surrogate, so they're not left wondering where they came from. So, and you know, as we all know, the psychology for the children is really, really important. You know, hopefully one day all countries will have what we're able to do in California. But until then.
Thank you. In our case in Cyprus, you can have both possibilities. It's to communicate with your surrogate mother during whole pregnancy period and after, if of course both sides are okay with it, or just have communication via coordinator. But you should be realistic and responsible, because both sides has some cultural differences, yeah? Some history of previous life and experience. I had one clients from India which asked surrogate mother to become vegetarian in the middle of pregnancy. You understand? It's not because they're bad or so. They have their own culture, yeah? But it's stressful for them, and of course it's impossible to change this behavior. From German side, I have a very nice story. We have gay couples, two guys from Germany, and they start in parallel both process for first father and second father. They have beautiful daughter and daughter for each one, and they wanted to communicate too much with surrogates, and they started communication with both. With one, she was a little bit older, 30 plus, and it was nice communication. They still in touch. They sent felicitation for birthday and so on. Another was younger, 20 plus, and she sent message that I feel morning sickness and 6 a.m. Yeah, a little bit other emotions involved and so on. Not because they're bad or good, they're different, yeah, they behave differently. You also need to understand that it's your position and it's another human position. They had remaining embryo frozen boy, and they wanted to use it, and they also achieved pregnancy with third one, and they, Viktoriia, this time we don't want any communication, please do your job, send us results, we will come for it. So it's the same couple, yeah, 3 different cases and 3 completely different type of communication. And yeah, it's happened, we are different, people are different from both sides. Just respect own personal psychological points and wishes. That's all what I can tell.
Thank you. Amani, is there anything you want to add to?
No, I'll leave that too. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, just one thing is, in legal, the legal contract will address relationship or communication or contact. So you know that, like they said, you have the right to make the decision. Your feelings may evolve or change, and that's okay. But there will be basic, at least in the U.S., at least updates, keeping the parents in touch. The parents have a right to be involved in doctor appointments, get access to records, and also be there for the delivery. But again, it's up to how you feel.
Okay, cool. I'm going to finish with a question that you guys haven't been told about previously. So basically, what I was going to say is just to sort of finish off. These guys are about to walk out into the hall. They're at the start of their day. They haven't had time to see anyone. They've come straight here. What should they do now in terms of a wish for a baby today? What should they be asking? Who should they be going to? What should their expectations to be about today, and sort of taking that first step of speaking to people today? What should they be looking to achieve today at Wish for a Baby, do you think?
Well, that was an easy one, wasn't it? First of all, you're probably all going to be exhausted by the end of today. It's a massive flow of information, and it is overwhelming. I think that you should not expect to have initial meetings today. Walk around, talk to people, and wherever you are feeling that I want to learn more from Peter, book a conversation with them. But I don't think that you should expect to have the full, in-depth, lengthy conversation where every topic is being discussed. This is for you to gather information. Stay hydrated. Have some sugar every now and then, because you're going to need your energy. So talk to people, but save the lengthy meetings for online bookings. Book them. Book the meetings that you need.
Thank you. It is a wealth of information that you're going to get. I think one of the most important tips is wherever you choose, will they be able to navigate the entire journey for you? If it's a clinic, can they take care of the legal as far as introductions? Can they take care of the agency part again as far as introductions? And also, who will actually be taking care of the egg donor? Who will be taking care of the surrogate? Because you're not there for any of that, so you don't know if it's your physician who's taking care of the patients, if it's a mid-level provider, as we like to call it in the US, a nurse, for example, who's doing that. And a third tip is basically, how easy is it for you to communicate with your physician? Will your physician actually call you back? Will they do a quick video consult? Because you're going to have a lot of questions. No matter how much information is given at the beginning of this journey, you're going to have a lot of questions, and you should have the reassurance that your physician will be in contact with you soon, 24, 48 hours. So those are important questions, I think, at the beginning of the journey.
Be prepared, but also enjoy. Yeah, it's 2 days of communication with different peoples from different countries, which can propose you different scenes. You can take small presents as well, yeah. And it's not very fast track when you buy, for example, some form. Like it's at least 1 year of program. Yeah, even more depends from your age. But you should have your potential energy inside, and you should enjoy and be a little bit relaxed now, because when baby will come, you will need more work to take care of. So now you can have good sleep here and all the days. Try to enjoy your way from the beginning. That's my advice. Take information.
I concur that yes, please enjoy. This is just to help you. So we are here to help. So take what you can. Don't worry, you don't have to take it all now. You'll have a lot of other opportunities as well once you've created some connections. My biggest thing I just wanted to say is this is not a normal business arrangement, not a normal business process. Your feelings, who you're comfortable with, is, I think, truly very important. So the best thing I can say today is create a connection or relationship with people, see who you're comfortable with, who you feel like, oh, I can deal with this person for the next 2 years of my life. And just go, at the end of the day, this is very much a human element to what we're doing. This is about growing families. It's an emotional thing. So who you can connect with, who you feel comfortable with, is, that's important too. That's all.
Perfect, thank you. Right, thank you so much for everything you said. I'm just going to finish by saying that thank you for coming and listening to the talk. But about our show and how you might feel today, there may have been many times over the last months, years or whatever, where you've sat in a room and felt like you were the only person that was going through what you're going through right now in that room and felt very alone. Everybody in this room, everybody in that room out there understands the journey that you're going on or the obstacles that you have. This is a safe place for you to explore your options and figure out how to navigate that journey. So you're in the right place. people here are going to give you lots of information. It's going to be really useful to you, and they're really helpful, and they're here to help you. So thanks for coming. You've come to the right place. And then finally, I always say thank you to these guys for helping people to fulfill their wish of having a family. Thank you. Have a good day.
It was a pleasure for us to participate and expert in this panel discussion. I hope you will soon start your journey with us in Cyprus. See you soon in our stand today.